Pastor Jeremiah preached faith to thousands, but one night, he realized something terrifying. For 3 years, God had not answered a single one of his prayers. This story happened in Nigeria, in a city where churches fill every street, where pastors preach hope every Sunday, where people believe heaven always hears, but sometimes, even pastors pray into silence. 10 years earlier, Pastor Jeremiah's church was alive. The building was not big, just a modest hall with plastic chairs and a simple wooden pulpit, but every Sunday, the place was filled. People stood outside the windows. They sang loudly, they clapped their hands, they believed. God was moving, and Pastor Jeremiah believed it too. He was not a flashy preacher, he did not promise miracles every week, but his sermons were honest, and people respected that. Many said the same thing about him. Pastor Jeremiah truly loves God. Back then, his prayers felt powerful. When he prayed, things happened. A woman once testified that after Pastor Jeremiah prayed for her sick son, the boy recovered. Another man said the pastor's counsel saved his marriage. Stories like that spread. Soon, the church began to grow, but ministry has seasons, and sometimes, those seasons change quietly. At first, nobody noticed. One family stopped attending, then another, then another. Pastor Jeremiah assumed they had simply moved away, but weeks became months, months became years. The once full church slowly emptied. Plastic chairs that used to hold people now sat quietly, on many Sundays. The echo of Pastor Jeremiah's voice filled the room, because there were only 12 people listening, 12, from hundreds. Every night, Pastor Jeremiah prayed, not short prayers, long prayers, serious prayers. He would kneel beside his bed, sometimes for hours. He prayed for revival, he prayed for guidance, he prayed for direction, but something strange began to happen. The more he prayed, the more heaven felt silent. One night, after praying for nearly 2 hours, Pastor Jeremiah sat quietly on the floor. He was sweating, his knees were sore, but his heart felt empty. He whispered something he had never said before. Lord, are you still listening? The words shocked him. Pastors were supposed to have faith, pastors were supposed to be strong, but that night, Pastor Jeremiah felt something he had never felt in ministry. Doubt. Sunday came again. Pastor Jeremiah stood behind the pulpit. The same 12 members sat before him. One old woman, 2 young men, 3 middle-aged women, a tired choir of 4 people, and a keyboard player who sometimes arrived late. Pastor Jeremiah opened his Bible. He began to preach. His voice was confident, his message was strong. God never abandons his people. The congregation nodded, but deep inside, Pastor Jeremiah wondered something frightening. What if God had abandoned him? Ministry problems rarely come alone. Soon, finances became a problem. Church offerings dropped, electric bills piled up, the landlord raised the rent for the church building. Pastor Jeremiah tried not to panic, but one evening he sat at his small office desk, staring at the numbers. They did not add up. He whispered again,
Lord, what am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong? Silence. Pastor Jeremiah's wife noticed the change. Her name was Esther. She had supported his ministry since the beginning. One evening she sat beside him quietly. Jeremiah, she said gently, you look tired. He forced a smile. I'm fine. But Esther knew him too well. You have been praying every night. But you look more worried each day. Pastor Jeremiah looked away. Then he said something he had never admitted before. I don't understand what God is doing. Ministry is strange. Sometimes pastors preach about joy, while secretly fighting battles nobody sees. Pastor Jeremiah still preached powerful sermons. People who visited the church thought everything was normal, but inside, something had changed. He could not explain it. Before, when he prayed, he felt peace. Now, his prayers felt like words bouncing off the ceiling. One night, Pastor Jeremiah had a dream. In the dream he stood inside his church. The building was full again. People were singing loudly, but something was wrong. Everyone was singing, except him. When he tried to sing, no sound came out. He opened his mouth again, still nothing. Then suddenly, all the people in the church turned and stared at him. Their faces looked disappointed. Pastor Jeremiah woke up sweating. The next day an older pastor visited him. His name was Pastor Samuel. he had mentored Jeremiah many years ago. After greeting him warmly, the older pastor looked around the quiet church, then he asked a simple question, "Jeremiah, how are you really doing?" Pastor Jeremiah hesitated, then he answered honestly, "I don't hear God anymore." Pastor Samuel looked at him carefully, then he said something mysterious, "Sometimes God is silent. Not because he has left you."
Sometimes God is
He
silent, not because he has left you,
but because he is
but
watching
because
what
he
you
is
will do
watching
next.
what you will do next.
2 weeks later, something strange happened. A letter arrived at the church, no sender name, just Pastor Jeremiah's name written on the envelope. He opened it slowly. Inside was a short message, only one sentence, but when Pastor Jeremiah read it, his hands began to shake, because the letter said, "You already know why God is silent." Pastor Jeremiah read the sentence again, and again, then a frightening thought entered his mind, because if that letter was right, then the silence from heaven was not an accident, it was a warning, and the truth behind it could destroy everything.